Hello, my name is Dan. You are watching What the Fuzz podcast, and I interviewed Mr. Jamesem Riverą, the extraordinary voice of Helstar and 1,000 other bands.
Yeah, too many.
Alrighty then, let's begin with an extraordinary question. How do you feel that after a period of inaction and then returning with the newer Helstar albums, the legend of Helstar seems to only grow and expound, and people are talking, I think, more about you than they were
Before. That's actually really nice that you said that, because that's what's happening. So I don't get it, but you know what? 40 years later, for some reason, seems like in this last year or so, or this last 2 years. Well, really, let's back it up a little bit. That's not actually the truth, but ever since after Vampiro, I think that it catapulted us to where we should have been a long time ago. And it just seems like now the name just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, for what it's worth, hey, I'll take it now. That's okay. I wish it could have happened 20 years ago, but maybe if it did, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So timing and the hand of faith it's a parallel thing. And you can argue with it all you want and go, why? Just go ahead and live it.
What's your take on the people, the old schoolers?
Oh, the old schoolers?
Yeah, that say that Helstar, new Helstar, post-Reformation Helstar, the Glory of Chaos Helstar does not sound like Helstar, but it's too modern,
right?
Too trashy, too pre-processed, etc., etc. Well, those guys who want you to record Burning Star Part 700.
Yeah. And you know what? Bless their hearts, but it just doesn't work that way. And it's not like we're intentionally doing things for attention like a little kid. It's because our spirits have changed from 40 years ago. So there's no way in the world we're going to write Burning Star again, ever, of that in that vein. It just doesn't exist. And the direction that we're going now, I think when we did Vampiro and then the latest stuff that we released, the Black Wings of Solitude, we're doing our best to keep the old fans happy and go, okay, now that's the Helstar I love. But we have to do it naturally. We can't just do it because we have to, we need to write another Run with the Pack. It doesn't work that way. So somehow we're naturally writing stuff now beyond Glory of Chaos, and as it started being noticeable by the time we did Wicked Nest, and then by the time we did Vampiro, then Clad in Black, and then Black Wings, people are saying you finally found the right balance now, and the old fans are all happy again. So maybe that's why the band is growing, because the old fans came back and gave us the big hug. Okay, that's my Helstar. And the new fans that never really knew of that and only loved us for what we did from the King of Hell on, they're still happy as hell. So I think that's what it is it just took a right balance to actually make everybody happy. But the band has to be happy first, or if we're not happy with what we're delivering, I don't think the fans are going to be happy with it. So that's the way you have to look at it.
I always go with this, but I'm always very interested in the formulation of Helstar, which was resulted in Burning Star. My theory is that US metal was the American take on new wave of British heavy metal, but leaner, nastier, and speedier.
Exactly.
And that's what, for example, Harry Conklin told me about Ample Destruction with them. So would you agree that in your case, it's the same stuff, that you were influenced by the new wave of British heavy metal, and you took it up a notch?
I took it, UFO, Judas Priest, Old Scorpions, Angel Witch, Saxon, and all that stuff with Dio, the Black Sabbath era with Dio in it. All that combined is what fed the blood for Helstar. And that's where the heart was beating at in the beginning.
Oh yeah, but would you say that also a band that I know you really appreciate was, and I do hear it in Burning Star, that you don't always hear in American metal bands, that influenced you was Accept.
Yes, and Accept, big time.
Restless and Wild.
Yeah, that's my favorite album. One of my favorite albums.
Absolutely. And what's your also what my kind of digression would be this, that some people and many people still point that to Burning Star having two of your biggest hits would be Run With The Pack,
Right.
and Burning Star.
And Burning Star.
What's your take that you put it out of the gate with the first one? Already had something that you could rely on the set list, etc. How do you feel about that after those many years?
Oh, you know what, man? When we play those songs, we still have just as much fun as we did 40 years ago. And we know that those are the highlights. That's what the people are waiting for. And once you give them what they want, you got these big Kool-Aid smiles throughout, for the rest of the evening, and they could care less what happens after that.
Yep. And which I want to go into this. My take on Helstar was also in the vein that up to Nosferatu, and including Nosferatu, it's a band with the perfect evolution. Meaning that each album takes the previous one and adds some more stuff, more speed, more intricate songwriting, more trash.
Yeah.
So would you agree that you evolve very consciously?
Yes, we've been fortunate that we're the kind of band that will always outdo the last record, and it's sometimes that is an inner goal, and sometimes it's a fear. Like, when you put out something that strong, like say Vampiro. So when the time is coming now that we're writing the new record now, anyways, and some of the new songs you've already heard, you do have a little bit of a fear, like, oh my God, how are we going to top that now? I mean, what are we going to do that's going to make the next album even better than that? Because you don't want to, especially for a band like us, that the name is growing again, and now we're getting the credibility we deserve. The last thing you want to do is put out a weak record after something that powerful. Then we just wouldn't do it. We just wait until the right elements are there, and we sit back and we listen to everything that we recorded and go, yeah, I think this one is going to make the fans happy.
I will press you on this. There is an instance in Helstar's discography that the next album is not as good as the previous one. And it's called Multiples of Black.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened there?
Well,
and who produced this? The songs are not that bad.
Right.
But the production is
horrible.
Oh my dear bloody Jesus.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, at that time, you're talking 1995,
Yep.
number one. Larry's no longer in the band, and now I have what really was called Vigilante returning to the name of Helstar. And some of those writers were a little bit more influenced by what was becoming popular in the 90s, what they called metal, which really wasn't, groove metal or whatever. Then the problem is Dave Ellison produced half of the EP, and so his production is not as bad, but the other situation, I'll be honest with you, man, I had let go of almost running the show back then. I kind of let Aaron make more of the choices, but that's because I think spiritually I was at my lowest point with, what was happening in the US in the 90s, musically anyways. And I guess I felt hopeless. I was lost to be found to be lost. Yeah, exactly. So I guess really at the end of the day, on an honest note, and no making excuses to the fans especially, I just didn't care anymore.
Oh yeah.
And, I felt like it was the end of the world already. Like, well,
For metal or for you?
yeah, for metal, for me, for everything.
Okay.
So why am I going to put all this energy into this and make it better than it is? So we didn't get much of a budget, and I was at that time I was unemployed. Metal Blade had dropped us. My life was upside down. So I think I used more of the money to to live, you know, and we had a small budget. So we found Aaron found these other people in Houston, and the guy was horrible. And so that's what ended up happening.
Would you think that maybe, possibly, this record or those songs would be better if you recorded them now?
We did them now with the lineup we have now and
Yeah.
the energy we have now, with adding a few changes here and there. Some of those songs would actually fit right in with what we're doing.
So maybe record them, release them.
Yeah, let's see.
maybe.
All right, I got to give you credit for that. My manager now? Yeah.
I can be if you want me to be.
No, we talked about it.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
If you could speculate, just let the imagination flow.
Yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, because really, at the end of the day, all Glory of Chaos is pretty much the Eternity Black album.
Kinda, yeah.
No, it is.
Kinda.
It's the same exact songs. I just gave them a different melody.
Different touch.
A melody that made it into Helstar. Yep. Exactly.
Let's let the imagination flow. Let's say you didn't disband after Nosferatu, and you didn't record Multiples of Black. What would you go into after Nosferatu? Nosferatu was pretty complex, bordering on power trash.
There was no Multiples of Black. I mean, I would say that the immediate thing that should have happened is Van Beetle should have followed right after that. Boom.
Possibly,
Or the King of Hell.
The King of...
It did a great job.
So you would not go into more technical and complex stuff, but heavier.
Or heavier, exactly, right.
All right, more trashy.
Yeah, exactly.
Even more.
Yeah.
All right. What do you influence on Nosferatu with those things that were happening in the technical metal genre, like Watchtower or Toxic or Realm? Mm-hmm. Because some of the stuff, guitar stuff on that is reminiscent of those.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? In all honesty, it's kind of like all of us came out at the same time. So I don't think that any of us were like stealing ideas. It just ironically that there was a breed like us that was writing that same style of music.
All right.
But yet we weren't like, oh, we got to do something like Toxic. I didn't know who they were until the record came out, but our record came out, and vice versa.
Oh yeah.
And I think when each of the bands got each other's records, we were like, wow, these guys are badass. Because I remember when I first got the first Toxic, I was like, whoa. And Forbidden.
Yup.
Yeah, I was blown away, you know, and Realm and all that.
The guy on the first Toxic record could sing even higher than you could.
Oh yeah. So
which is a feat in itself.
Yeah. So I mean, but I think we were just all ironically doing the same thing at the same time. You know, we really didn't say, let's copy these guys or nothing like that. And I think that's what made us bigger fans of each other's bands, because we felt the same way about writing music, you know.
Okay, so my take on the early Helstar discography is that each one of the early stuff is good, almost as good as the others for different reasons. If you had to pick one from Burning Star to Nosferatu, which one would you pick as your favorite and why?
Oh, well, it's easy. It would be Nosferatu. Because of the whole Van Beetle and Dracula.
Dracula vibe.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then I would have to say vocally, I would say Distant Thunder was one of my favorite performances.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
This one is, I would pick this one as far as vocals go.
Yeah.
Well, since you said Distant Thunder, there is a band. Well, there was a band, or there is a band called Distant Thunder, and there's a record.
Right.
Would you, what was the deal with that? Because many people are still thinking that you may come back to Distant Thunder, may incorporate songs from Distant Thunder into Helstar. It sounds like a lost Helstar record, basically.
Well, it basically was the stepping stone that brought back the bigger interest in Helstar again. So it was time for me to deliver something similar to that, because, you know, if it's not Destiny's In, it's Distant Thunder. And, you know, then I was in Seven Witches, but then you have like more than half of my fans will just say straight out, like, yeah, the first Seven Witches record was really good that you did, but, you know, I don't know, that it's nothing compared to Helstar. So I was always in the shadows, no matter what band I was in, you know, so it didn't matter. And I think there's just people just said, man, you just need to bring Helstar back. But at that time, I didn't want to do another record without Larry under the name. So I stayed away from the name, but I said, well, I'll give them something that's very related to the name, and Distant Thunder.
Thunder.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not coming back. This is a done
No,
deal.
it's a done deal because Helstar's back.
What about the songs? Would you see revisiting the songs?
We also talked about maybe redoing some of those, so.
That would be, because I'll be fair, redoing the old Helstar stuff to many old school people and many, it's redundant. You cannot improve on the old versions.
No.
You will never do it. So if you could redo stuff that was obviously should be redone, like those, I would buy that record instead of redoing the sins of the past.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I think
because you can never improve on
No.
you can never improve on what people remember.
Exactly.
You can record it with the best production ever, and they will all still prefer the old scrappy sounding
I know.
vinyl. They will always do it.
That's the way it always is, man.
Yep. Okay, let's go into Destiny's End. I read many interviews with you about Destiny's End, and you were very, very, very much for that band.
Yes.
For the longest time. And I would say, if some band or of your other bands touched Helstar, that would be Destiny's End.
Yeah.
Why did this? I heard many versions why Destiny's End crashed and burned, and the reception for the records, for example, in Poland, those are cult records.
Yeah.
They're absolutely cult records, both of them. Why did it fall
Well, I think at that
apart?
point it's because, and you can hear different interviews from different members from that band, and one in particular really really made it sound like we were, or I was this big loser. Now that's not the case. The case is that these guys, you're talking about a band now that I've joined. My name is what made Metal Blade pick this up. They wanted a Helstar, and Helstar was not available. So I ended up getting lucky and meeting these guys in LA. But now I've already got close to almost 20 years under my belt, and they're a little green. So what they're thinking is that, oh, wow, first record, we're gonna, by the time we were doing the second record, the bass player was going around in front of Brian Slagle like, why are we broke? We don't got any, and you just don't say that. Yeah. So I think they really expected it to be a lot more than, but at the end of the day, we did a whole U.S. tour with Iced Earth and Nevermore. We went to Europe and did Sacred Steel, Bang Your Head. We did a lot of things, but I think in some cases, I would have to say that once you really see the reality of what it's going to be, and you're not going to be rich in not even 5 years from now.
Playing power thrash like Destiny's End? No.
So I think that some of the members they jumped off the boat while they had a chance to still keep their normal life going, because to them it was not worth the sacrifices.
Got it. But musically, are you still happy with it? Because I would say that still holds up to this day.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, Athens already offered a show. He said he'd fly us in just for one
to do Destiny's
one Destiny's End show in all of Europe.
Yeah, do it in Poland too. Come on. I would go make new shirts, and I'll buy those too. Then one thing out of the blue. You, Flotsam and Jetsam. How did it come about? I love that band.
Well, as a matter of fact, I had just got off a little tour with Helstar, or that carnation of Helstar that ended up bringing back the real guys eventually, which Eric was in that lineup, and Jerry was still in the lineup. And we did a little run with Steel Prophet in the U.S.
Yeah.
And the day I got home, I had just put my bags down, and my phone rings. And I look at the caller ID, and it says Craig Nielsen. And I'm like, what the fuck's he calling me for? So I pick up the phone, and it's like, James? I'm like, oh, yeah, dude, it's so great to hear your voice, man. I'm like, well, what's going on, Craig? He's like, well, man, let's cut to the chase real quick. How would you feel about singing for Flotsam and Jetsam on the U.S. tour? What? Well, apparently what happened is Michael Faley and Brian Slagle for Metal Blade, they had the tour booked. Eric wanted out. The record was recorded already, and a lot of stuff was at stake. And they said, do we cancel the tour? who would we get to
Sing.
and do this? And then that's when Michael Felix says, there's one guy, and he's in Texas, and that's the man. So back then, I was kind of like the James Bond of metal. I was like, everybody was getting me left and right, So
They still are.
Yeah, and it's a good feeling to know that. You know what I mean?
Are there any shows recorded with you on vocals with Fuzz and Jamesem?
There's some live footage out there, but we didn't really record a song.
Anything in the studio?
Yeah, no.
All right, and there's it's not a rumor, but I want to confirm this. I want to throw out a name, and I'll see your reaction. You and Doom Eternal. Is that true?
What?
You and Doom Eternal. I heard you recorded choirs for the game Doom Eternal.
Oh yes, I did do that.
This is true, really?
I did that, but I don't know if they're going to do another one. So yeah.
So I will say that I didn't know. I heard your voice when I was playing that stuff.
Yeah,
and I loved it. How did you like doing that? In comparison to doing like music?
I'm trying to remember how that happened, and I think it's because the guy is a big fan, and in the previous game he called the album "Burning Star" or something.
There was something.
Yeah, and that's where he got the idea from. So we started writing each other, and he said, "I'm going to do this Doom Eternal too, and I'd be more than honored for you to be on this thing." And he did it in Austin to begin with, so I'm in Houston. It made sense,
Okay, I'll go with Vampiro, and I'll ask some tough stuff. First of all, why isn't it available now for purchase with you guys?
What?
Why can't you buy it at the merch stand?
The album?
The Vampiro, yeah.
Oh, because they're out of print.
They're out of print.
Right, there is no.
Oh, will they be in print again?
Well, see that's a big mess because that label belonged to Ellefson.
Yup.
And then he let somebody else run it, and I think there's some CDs or some vinyls floating around somewhere that they have in storage or something.
Okay.
But I don't think they're gonna print anymore because I don't really think the label's doing much anymore.
So you need to buy it when it's available.
When it's available, yeah.
Got it. And what's your take on the criticism with Vampiro that I heard that it's too long?
Oh, I never.
It's too long of a record. It would be an awesome, amazing record if you cut out some stuff.
Yeah.
That people would like a 40-minute, straight to the point record.
Well, I didn't. I've never heard that, but that's kind of weird. But some people complain when you don't give them enough music.
Yeah,
so
that's also true.
Yeah,
that's also.
My dad has an old saying, or he had an old saying, bless his heart. You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time. And I don't give a goddamn.
All right, then. So one more topical question: will you ever go back to writing political stuff like you did on those Wicked Nest and the Glory of Chaos? Or are we back to vampires and Sword and Sorcery?
Well, it's kind of like that's my favorite subject, but Larry and Andrew are going to write what they want to write.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody's cornered into this, everything has to be about vampires now, So everybody has the freedom to do what they want. But, ironically, it's weird how Andrew just started writing a song about a werewolf now. So, and it's kind of cool, and I'm just like, oh, we didn't have to do that for me. He goes, no, I just wanted to do it. And Across the Raging Seas is just about the Vikings,
Cool.
Yeah. So you see it just, now we're Clad in Black is about a witch. It's not even based on a movie that we saw, me and Larry. So we're not cornering ourselves just strictly for vampires, but anything that I write, I have that love for them to go ahead and go, okay, you do your favorite subject. That's fine.
Okay.
We can have a couple of vampire songs on there.
So can you say what's going to be the musical direction of the new stuff? Is it going to be in the vein of Vampiro or heavier or trashier?
It's give us. Well, you already heard. You've already heard Dark Incarnation and Across the Raging Sea, so it's going to that now.
Oh, in that thing.
Yeah.
So traditional with lots of trash, lots of trash elements, let's say.
Yeah, but very traditional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Oh, well, the floor is yours. Whatever you have to say to our viewers, to Polish fans, to metal fans in Poland, to everybody who will watch this, the floor is yours, Mr. Jamesem Riverą.
Well, all I can say is thank you. And thank you for all the years of being patient that you thought you'd never see us here in your beautiful city. But we're here, and we're going to do our best to give you one of the best shows possible. And I hope you enjoy it. We love you forever. Take care.
See ya!